Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 My Team Career Mode. This is episode number 92 today for the Imola Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous one at Portimao, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, as the start of the European portion of the season kicked off with a bang. It was a bit of an explosive Grand Prix in our world, as George Russell went for a move that was just never going to work, spinning us round, and we're having to do some damage limitation right to the end. An incredible photo finish, and Jenson Button limiting the damage, having made an extra pit stop to get second place on the line, and Yuki Tsunoda got off the mark finally and won his first race of the season, and quite nicely for him takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Yuki's ahead of Jenson Button in second place. We're very close behind, so good to see myself and Jenson equally matched, because that means we're actually ahead in the Constructors' Championship. Pourchaire, a decent return to the podium for him. Obviously, after such a strong start to the season, the opening round, there was a little bit of a wobble for them, and Audi have been wobbling consistently in the races. I mean, Leclerc didn't do himself any justice on Saturday either at Portimao, but without mistakes, clearly Audi are very quick over one lap, but both of them just can't seem to convert that into some really good results. Let's see if anything's going to change this time around as we go into a very overcast Imola Grand Prix here on Saturday. There is forecast for rain on Sunday, I must say, off the bat here, according to the weather radar, but no rain on Saturday. At least it's not meant to be, but it does look very likely there is some rain on the way, because it just looks so dark, but the sun does pierce through the clouds as we get to the end of Q1, and we set our second flying lap of the day, and that will get us through into Q2 comfortably, but others do go quicker and find some speed after I'd set my lap. Gasly up there, that's good for Lamborghini, good news for them. Ferrari up there as well with Russell, but unfortunately on the other side of the spectrum, Red Bull again struggling on Saturday with Lando Norris once again knocked out on the first time of asking. Obviously Red Bull, McLaren haven't been the same for the last 2-3 seasons. At least McLaren have seemed to have a little uptick in performance recently, but Red Bull now are the ones struggling really compared to last season, where it was the other way round, I guess. But anyway, we focus on ourselves here in Q2, and this time wanting to get through into the top 10 shootout, and we do that. It's the first time we've got into Q3 in 3 episodes time. The last 2 back-to-back knockouts weren't a great feeling in the cockpit. Mistakes by me, just resting on my laurels and forgetting about the awkward simulation time. So this time we made sure not to simulate to the end, and the lap we produced was good enough anyway to keep our first place there. So that's quite promising going into Q3. And to be fair, from last season, the My Team chassis, the car here, goes really well at Imola. I'm feeling good about this, so let's see how we go as we try and traverse those yellow massive curbs at the end in Sector 3 to try and keep the speed up here. It's a green first sector, green the second, but we don't know what that means at all, really, for things, because it's hard to tell who's where at the top there. I can see Pourchaire ahead of Verstappen, Piastri P8, we're P9 at the moment, and we go second place. It was actually quickest of all when I set the lap time, but to my surprise, when I went for my second run at the end of the session, Button was up in P1, but it's a 1-2 for the BMW AAR team. Brilliant stuff here for us. This is just about pride and switching it around, and we do gain enough time to go quickest of all. It's pole position here at Imola, but it's a 1-2 front row lockout for this team. Fantastic stuff. Gasly's up there in third. That's good for him, for Lamborghini, because Pourchaire's down there in P9. So Gasly's been a bit, shaky compared to Pourchaire. Obviously, Pourchaire, the one on the podium last episode. So Gasly needed this as a bit of a confidence booster. Tsunoda, as ever, just up there, and we know how good he can be in the races, so he will be a threat. Leclerc, only P5, and Sainz P7. So Audi, not actually that great this time over on lap. But could that actually mean the opposite then? Finally in the race, could they come alive? Who knows? Who knows? But we've got an interesting race coming up, because there's also some rain maybe later on. Who knows though? You can never tell with the weather. But let's go to the race. So we are going very ballsy with the strategy, because you can see in the top left, we are on the hard compound of tyre Everyone else behind me is either on mediums or soft tyres if they are outside the top 10. And yeah, we've chosen the hardest compound, but the only one on the hard tyres. And this is my thinking on the strategy screen, looking at where the rain is meant to be falling. I reckon we could get all the way to the wet period on this set of hards, and I'm hoping that everyone else will be making one pit stop at least to get off their mediums, get off their softs, and therefore we could potentially have a massive lead in this race if we're able to keep it in first place till then, till the pit stops. That's a massive if, because we are on the hards. And as much as I love the hard compound on this year's game, at the start of a race on heavy fuel, when tyre wear is not a factor and leaning on the tyre is not a factor, the pure pace of the medium and the soft of anyone outside the top 10 is going to be quite overwhelming. So this will be a massive challenge for us to try and stay in first place until that rain starts falling. But hopefully it will pay us massive dividends as we go to 5 red lights, and we're underway for the Imola Grand Prix. It was a 1-2 for myself and Jensen, but Button has had a shocking getaway, and he goes down to P4 as he's swallowed up by Gasly, Leclerc. Tsunoda trying to get him. Leclerc locks up. Leclerc with a huge mistake. He had such an open goal to maybe go for second place, and instead he's now back down all the way to 5th place. That is crucial for the other drivers around him, and such a disaster for him to be down in P5. Then Tsunoda up to P4. Button reclaims 3rd place at least, and surprise, surprise, Pierre Gasly, 2nd place there, is going to be the first man to pressurise me, I feel, on the mediums. This can only go well. It's the Italian Grand Prix, of course, as well, and he's driving for Lamborghini. Of course, last season, when I was driving with Lamborghini, we did the unthinkable. We won both Italian Grand Prix in the season to become the #1 Italian brand in F1. And I'm sure, even now that they're an independent team, Lamborghini are going to want to continue that heritage. So Gasly is going to be very hungry to overtake me. And he's going to have the tools in his arsenal on those fresh medium tyres. Our hards, it's just a fact. They're not going to have the same amount of grip. So we have to be very clever in the way we drive, try and use the ERS in the right places, place the car right. We're doing a little bit of weaving around, but that was maybe on the limit of what we're allowed there, moving just once before the start-finish line and then again after, just to set ourselves for the brake zone, and we've done well to defend there. And Button goes for P2. This is crucial for us. If Button could get into 2nd place, that changes things, because that gives us a rear gunner. It even gives us the possibility of letting Jensen by and defending for him to help out the team as a whole. But right now he's in 3rd place and we can't do much about that. And Pierre Gasly, well, he's just set the new fast lap of the Grand Prix, so he's clearly on it, and he wants first place so badly. And you can see why, because clearly, I think you can tell by the way I'm having to defend, that as soon as someone gets past me, they are just waltzing off into the distance. I won't be able to re-overtake them unless I can stick with DRS. Oh, no, Button slow! No! Jensen Button is out of the Grand Prix. That's twice now. 2 times in 5 rounds that Button has faced some sort of mechanical issue or engine failure, and he is out of the Grand Prix. That's so frustrating. I'd rather it be me at least once so we can bear the pain together, but that's so unlucky for him to have both engine failures that have occurred with this car this season so far. That is going to be frustrating for him, and I hope that doesn't knock his momentum too much as an AI driver. But now I am completely on my own. I'm flying the flag alone, and Gasly is coming at us at a rate of knots on lap 4. We squeeze him. It's going to be inches from the wall there for the Frenchman. Gasly in the Lamborghini on the outside. He's going to be fully alongside us. We squeeze him. We give enough room, though, to be a fair fight. We could have been a lot more aggressive, to be honest with him. I could have done a Verstappen and completely got my elbow out to shove him off onto the curb. But remember, we're trying to be a bit cleaner with Gasly because I don't want any sort of damage. But look at this. We're a sitting duck now. Gasly's already overtaken us. Tsunoda nearly gets us. It was 3 wide. We come back at Gasly. We've done amazing to somehow... How have we done that? We've somehow retaken first place. I thought it was all over there. In a flash, all of a sudden, Gasly was fully ahead of us. Tsunoda was nearly past us as we went 3 abreast. and we managed to actually get back down the inside with a bit of an aggressive dive, and it's a very copycat move with the way we defended the previous lap. We actually re-overtook Gasly in the same similar fashion. Again, we did give him plenty of room to work with, so I really am trying my best to keep this as clean as we can with our bitter rival and nemesis, Pierre Gasly here in the Lamborghini, who is now under pressure from Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda is inevitable, it would seem, on F1 23. He is him, and he has just made a great overtake. He's up into second place, and now we're in an even more nerve-wracking position because, to be honest, compared to Gasly, Tsunoda is a much bigger threat in terms of overtaking us and then walking away with this. We know how good of an overtaker Tsunoda has become on this game. It's actually quite something. I've never actually seen an AI transform this much compared to how they are in real life or season 1 of the game. Is Tsunoda, look at what he almost just made a move there on the outside of the hill. Incredible stuff here. I mean, we've seen it sometimes in the past. I'm thinking back to Drugovich in F1 22, Giovinazzi F1 2021, and now F1 23. It's Yuki Tsunoda's turn to become an absolute driving god, an aggressive AI, it would seem, and he's coming for us as we are going to have to play a bit of a game here and have our thinking cap on. 300 IQ play this is. We actually let Tsunoda by. We don't fight him too much under braking. Gives him a false sense of security, and then bang, we're going to get him back with ERS. He's actually, ironically, still got DRS, so I didn't even get DRS back on him, but just the simple fact of being under his rear wing, getting the slipstream, means that we can re-overtake him. We have a little bit of a moment on the rear end, to be honest, as we drift our way through making that move, but that just shows how much on the edge I am finding the limit in this car on the hard compound of the tyre. I am having to work so hard to stay in first place here, and so far it's feeling like one of the races where I've had to work the hardest just to keep a position like this because of that tyre difference. And as it gets darker, maybe the rain clouds might be coming sooner. That's got me a bit worried, you know, but we right now focus on the matter at hand, which is Tsunoda once again on our inside. Again, we are able to defend, and this time don't even have to squeeze him too much as we just keep it through. And Zhou Guanyu seemingly makes an overtake on Pierre Gasly, but oh no, the rain's coming down. The rain's coming down way earlier than I thought. This is a huge kick in the teeth for us. This means I basically chose the hard tyres for absolutely nothing. I could have gone on mediums because now I think we're going to go to inters before anyone makes a first pit stop. So great, all of this hard work trying to stay in first place on hards. We've just made life harder for ourselves because the rain's actually come down earlier as we now once again go neck and neck with Tsunoda. But this time, oh, the track's wet. The track's damp and we have to cut across the gravel as the rear end locked up. We drifted it our way through, and now we've had to drift through again as I think the rain has made the track just way too damp, especially for me. I mean, we know how the AI are so pin perfect in these tricky, changeable conditions, but for me, I'm feeling it. I mean, that tyre wear is also quite up there on the rear end because I've been working the hard tyres so much in these opening 12 laps. But yeah, the track is so slippery now all of a sudden, and it just caught me out. I mean, let's look at a replay here and you'll see the way my rear end snaps away, and then having to wrestle the car. Did well to go over the gravel and still remain in second place. And then, oh, we actually got a love tap from Zhou Guanyu. I thought I just made a second mistake and lost my rear end, but I think it was actually Zhou Guanyu. Look at this. Yeah, it was Zhou Guanyu that sent me off on the grass on the left. Okay, I feel a bit better about that. I thought we made 2 errors in the span of like 5 seconds because of the wet conditions, but really it was just the one. The second one was a little love tap from the Chinese driver. So we're into the pits then, because we were down in, what was it, P5, and with the way my rear end locked up in the first turn, I think absolutely it's too slippery now. That you're gonna open yourself up to even more mistakes. So I'd rather come in earlier on the intermediates, even though my engineer, when I was asking him about the weather report, he was still saying, I think it's a bit half and half. I'm just gonna call it on my own. You know, we did it with the hard tyre, didn't exactly work, but we're calling the shots here because I want this race win. And I think we can still get it, even from where we were. You know, we lost, yes, 4 positions there, but there was pace in the tank, and now it's a different situation. We're on inters. who knows how this car is going to perform. In those changeable conditions, when we were still on the dry tyre, I wasn't too confident. But when we fully cross over to Inter's weather, where it's actually fully wet, things change again. Let's see how we are, because we now get ahead of Leclerc and Verstappen again. Remember, they had overtaken us when we made that slight, half spin because of Zhou Guanyu. So right now we're within 1 second again of Tsunoda, and everyone else ahead of us, they're pitting now. So I think in the end of it, Tsunoda, he'll be P1, we'll be P2. So it's game on. We've effectively lost the position to Tsunoda, yes, but we fair and square lost it with the mistake we made into that very turn we're about to go into as we cut away now to the end of lap 15. And the thing is, now that it's fully wet and we're both on Inters, it's a bit more equalised, and I actually feel incredibly comfortable in this car. I don't know what it is this season, but this car feels really solid and stable in these conditions as we pull out for a move. Plenty of battery use, of course, DRS disabled, so it's an au natural overtake, and we've gone round the outside. A little bit of a drift needed off the curb, but we're up into first place, and we've retaken the lead. And like I said, we're feeling comfy. Tsunoda's there. Yes, he's going to keep within 1 second, keep us honest. But now it doesn't feel like we're driving with one hand behind our back because of the tyre compound. In these conditions, it's about taking it corner for corner and trying to minimize mistakes. And that's absolutely what we're not going to do here on the exit of the final corner. Just got a bit too greedy on the throttle, and the rear end got away from us, and we had to have a little grass excursion. We've defended well against Tsunoda there, as he didn't want to commit to that move on the inside. So we again get the racing line and remain in first place. But you can see he's getting close to us. He's getting more confident in these conditions. So it's going to... Oh no, he's made a mistake. Just as in the same way I made one, just out of the blue, he's made one, and now Leclerc has maybe gone for a movie. Come out of nowhere, really. Leclerc's been very quiet in this race so far since that mistake he made on lap 1, but he's now all of a sudden fighting for P2, and I think he's going to out-traction Tsunoda here up the hill, and Audi is going to be up into second place. Verstappen's up there in P4. He's also quietly, done his business. We know how good of a driver Verstappen can be in the wet, and so far it's going well for him in P4. But let's focus back on our fight and our defensive battle with the car chasing us, and this time it's Leclerc's turn to have a go at us. The first time the Audi has had a go for P1. He's done really well under braking. Leclerc's outbroken me fair and square, but we come back at him. We're tiptoeing, both of us, trying to give each other the room, trying to keep it going in a straight line, and we've... Oh my god, what a save! What a save! It may not look like a lot, but trust me, in the cockpit there, driving, the force feedback was doing an absolute madness there, having to work really hard to keep a hold of the steering wheel and not let it get away from you. The direct drive wheel is, it's not to be, sniffed at in those situations. It can really be an arm snapper, but we've kept it going and we remain in P5. And I've got the bit between my teeth because, okay, sure, we've made 1 or 2 mistakes here. But apart from that, genuinely, I think we're the fastest car on circuit as we dip a tyre into the grass whilst trying to jockey for position with Pierre Gasly, as we wanted to try and stay well away from him. And that could have been a calamity almost, but thankfully it wasn't. And we've re-overtaken him for P4. And I'm hoping to get onto the back of these guys as Tsunoda now goes for the move. Tsunoda and Leclerc side by side, they bang tyres and they lose a lot of time to Verstappen, who all of a sudden is right there. And now we're creeping up to them. Lap 20 through the final chicane in Sector 3, and we're basically pushing Verstappen through this corner exit. I mean, I literally had nowhere to go. Verstappen was so slow there, and that's promising. That's very, very promising as we go into the last 2 corners. A little bit iffy on the curve there, not really getting the momentum we need. The rear end gets out and we dip a tyre into the gravel. So if we iron out those mistakes, I have no doubt that we will be P1 again. It's just about trying to remove those mistakes, but it's easier said than done. Intermediate conditions, wet conditions in racing in F1 is so difficult, so tricky. Oh! Yuki Tsunoda's spun it from the lead! What did I say? What did I say? The commentator's curse is out. Mistakes happen in these conditions, and it happens to the best of us. Yuki Tsunoda, he's been pretty much the driver of the game for the last season and a bit, but even he is susceptible to a mistake there. You know what? There might be good reason, because if you look closely at the rain falling down, I think it's actually full wet conditions right now, and I've said to my team, box this lap. You may have seen previously on the last lap, I actually asked my engineer about the weather report, and he said conditions were getting just worse and worse. Verstappen now makes an error. He locks up into the chicane, and again, we're going to get an unbelievable launch. The traction we have there is epic on the Ferrari, just showing the performance difference and just how good this car seems to be this season in Inter's conditions. But look at the rain. Look at how much is falling. It's full wet. I have no doubt in my mind. It's full wet. So we're coming in. The rest of them stay out. But no, I think it's full wet. Everyone else is thinking of staying out on Inters. But again, like when we threw the dice coming in earlier for these intermediates, we're throwing the dice again to come in earlier for the full wet. Because I just think, I mean, look at the amount of water falling now. You can't be staying out on Inters. Like, you're just asking for a spin like Tsunoda's. Like, Tsunoda's spin doesn't happen if there wasn't this much rain falling, I don't think. So, you know, it was Tsunoda's spin and then also my questioning of my engineer that really drilled it home that we should go on to the full wet. So here we are then. We're the only man on track right now on the full wet tyres. We're catching up to our old teammate, Teo Porcher, who's had a really difficult race. He's got an issue in the car right now, let alone the lack of pace he had in the first part of the race. So we overtake him with ease, and we're gaining on the cars ahead of us rapidly. It's so apparent, especially in the slower speed corners, how much slower they are on intermediates. And onto lap 24, yellow's ahead. Lando Norris has spun it. Oh, we narrowly thread the car through and get past Norris and Drugovich, but this safety car is out. That's not going to help us. Or will it? No, okay, the red flag will definitely not help us. Oh, for goodness sake. I wouldn't have minded a safety car. That would have bunched us up. A red flag gives everyone a free pit stop. God damn it. God damn it. Oh, really? Really? We did so well to avoid this, by the way, as well. Drugovich, he's on course for a head-on collision there, T-bone. We did so well. Look at that. Threaded it through. That was quick thinking by yours truly to go through on the left-hand side. It was either that or the grass or trying to go on the right. But there you go. Lando Norris spins in the same place as Tsunoda. Just showing. I mean, just look at the amount of water falling. It's full wet. No doubt about it. And another driver makes a mistake because of that. And then Drugovich just, well, slowly careers into the Red Bull. And that's why there's a red flag, because there was a car right on the racing line. But now things are interesting. I said it was absolutely time for full wets then. But now with a red flag, obviously, you know, think about when a red flag happens in real life. There's a bit of downtime. There's time that progresses over the day. But the lap count has only gone up by 2 laps. So maybe the weather's changed. And the icon on the top right there, that's the icon for intermediate wet weather. If it's full wets, there'll be way more rain droplets. So I'm still hesitant. I feel like if the game's simulating a red flag properly, not enough time is going to pass, and it would technically still be full wet conditions. But because it's a game, I'm thinking we just stick with what we can see on the icon, which is intermediate weather, I would think. So we're going to go on to intermediates and see how we go. But make no mistake, that red flag has screwed us, because now we have no advantage. We're starting from square one. Everyone's going to be on a fresh set of tyres, and we're down in, what, 14th place. Absolutely brilliant. And to add to our woes, with the time elapsed, we've only got 6 laps left. It's a sprint race to the end as we go to 5 red lights, and we're underway once again here in Imola. But this time it's a wet start, and the 3 cars ahead of us going very slow. We have to do a little bit of clever driving to go around the outside of all 3 of them to make a triple overtake off the bat. Oh, we've come in way too hot into that corner. Oh my word. We've just narrowly managed to miss making any sort of contact that damaged our car. How have we managed that? We're the luckiest man alive. I don't know how we didn't break our front wing there. We came in way too hot into that corner. I didn't take into account the concertina effect of the cars ahead of us. You know, Tsunoda, Schumacher, and Piastri there were 3 abreast ahead of us. We get Alexander Albon to get into P10, and, well, now, quite nicely, once again, we're with our old pal, Yuki Tsunoda. We were together before, and then he obviously made that spin, but now I've been screwed over as well, and, we're together now, but Schumacher makes an error, and we're going to make another 2 passes. This is an unbelievable opening lap off the red flag. We've gone from P14 to P8 in 2 sectors. You know what? I think we can still cook here. I think we can still cook. Gasly's only there, you know, a couple of seconds down the road. And this car feels unbelievable right now. You know, I think it's still technically full wet conditions, but we're all just on intermediates, you know, slogging it out. And I actually feel comfortable slogging it out. I feel comfortable on these inters in these tricky conditions as we see Carlos Sainz going for the lead. Gasly was leading the way, but this Spaniard does so well. Round the outside, he makes it look effortless. And the Audi is up in first place. It's an Audi 1-3 at the moment. And now Leclerc is all over the back of Pierre Gasly. It doesn't look like it's going to be Italian joy for Lamborghini. It looks like it might finally be Audi's day. I would say in the sun, but there's absolutely no sun anywhere. But it looks like Audi are finally looking good in a race as we overtake Piastri and Liam Lawson. Double overtake in the last sector. To be fair, McLaren and Red Bull these days are a much slower car, so we should be expecting to get past them. The bigger test now is going to be getting past Zhou Guanyu, Verstappen, Gasly, the 2 Audis. Let's see how far we can go, but honestly, I reckon we could at least go for the podium here, minimum, as we now see Leclerc and Gasly fighting for said podium positions. It's going to be P3 to P2 for Charles Leclerc. Gasly down to 3rd place, and all of a sudden, it's a 1-2 for Audi Sports. This could be an unreal result for a team that's looked so quick over 1 lap, but just hasn't had what it takes in the races so far. Looks like all they needed was a bit of precipitation here. You know, sometimes that's all you need in Formula 1 to make a miracle happen, but just look at the way we're gaining on Zhou Guanyu here, like we did on Verstappen previously in the race. Usually in a scenario like this, where it's technically time for the full wet, but you're on inters, I would say the AI, usually, 9 out of 10 times, have the advantage here. But this is one of those days in history, the 1 out of 10 time, where I actually feel like I have an advantage over the AI. I feel way comfier on this circuit right now compared to them. And, well, P2's just there. P2's there. We've got 4 laps to go. We're going to once again get the jump on this Ferrari and power pass in Sector 3 and actually do what we didn't do last time, remember, when we were neck and neck with Verstappen here and just get him before the brake zone. And we're up into P4 now. We're on the back of Gasly. We can get P2. We can. If we get past Gasly immediately, then we have a chance to have a go at Leclerc as we gain and gain. We're using all the battery in the world. We fake to the left, go back to the right, and that unsettles Gasly. Oh, this is unbelievable. It's all coming up Arav. It's all coming towards us. That was like poetry there, the way we danced left, right, and just made Gasly have an error. And now we're in the back of Leclerc. We're going to commit to the left-hand side. Leclerc squeezes us. We're inches away from touching the grass, but our right foot stays planted on the floor, and we get up into 2nd place. And now we can try and chase after Carlos Sainz. And look how much time we're gaining in this part of the circuit. Yes, there are a few instances of oversteer, but generally speaking, I think I am much more comfortable in these conditions right now compared to the AI, and we're gaining a lot of time in the slower corners. On the last lap of the Grand Prix, all of a sudden, with a lot of ERS use, I must say, on the main straight, we've gained up to Carlos Sainz. We're now under half a second on Sainz on the last lap. Could we do this? Could we do the unthinkable from P14 to P1. Slight lock up there. Sainz gets the better of us. He pulls away. But the rest of the lap now is where we've had the advantage all race. Look how slow Sainz is going down that hill, up the crest. He took way too much curb on the exit, and we've gained again, and we have so much battery, because in the inters you just store all the energy, and through the final chicane we gain again. A little bit of dancing on the rear end having to be done to try and keep up, but now we get onto the back of Sainz. The slipstream kicks in. We're gaining, we're gone for it, but we've blocked up. The rear end steps out. We've drifted through the final two corners. We're neck and neck. This is going to be a run to the line. It's going to be a photo finish. Sainz is there, but we just get him. Unbelievable. Look at the drift we got. Absolute gymkhana through the second last corner. Neck and neck through the final one. For a second I thought Sainz was going to out-traction us, and he was alongside us, and just at the line we're able to get it. But this drift could have been disaster. That could have been me off the podium if I fully spanned that. But we kept it going, and then Sainz just couldn't keep his foot in until we got to the finish line.
Yes! I could get used to this. It's a many more. Yes!
And talk to me. What do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
That was unbelievable. You know what? We've got Jenson Button as our teammate. I feel like that was my Canada 2011 moment. Everything went against us. The hard tyre at the start. The inter mistakes we made. Full wet, red flag, down to P14, and then we persevered. We had the pace, just like Jenson had the pace all race long in Canada all those years ago, and we took victory on the last lap. Unbelievable. Guys, if you have enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.